What's been encircling the Labour government, Labour peer Lord Ali. He's donated over £300,000, it turns out, to not just Keir Starmer, but to senior Labour ministers, Angela Rayner, as well as David Lammy. You've got Bridget Phillipson, Ed Miliband, Wes Streeting, Liz Kendall. They've all taken money in donations from this guy. This over nearly 2 decades. Contributions have increased under Keir Starmer's leadership. So is he very much taking the lead from the front, setting a bad example, setting the example to his team that it's absolutely fine to receive whatever gifts, whatever donations, as long as you write them down in the way that you should. It's all fine. It's all fine. Take what you want. But the Prime Minister, he received over 155,000. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, 72,000. Turns out also that Angela Rayner welcomed the new year in at a £2 million Manhattan flat owned by, you guessed it, Lord Ali for 5 nights, and that's raised some questions about gift declarations amid this cronyism row. So joining me is political commentator Jonathan Liss. Jonathan, this doesn't seem to be going anywhere. You've got ministers and senior MPs having to answer all sorts of questions on this when they go onto the media. Jess Phillips this morning, you had Angela Eagle battling with these kind of questions as well. You've got Harriet Harman intervening as well too. I mean, where does Keir Starmer go from here?
I think there are 2 distinct issues here, Emily. The first is about political donations, which are completely normal and an absolute standard part of our democratic process. We can have a conversation about how political parties are funded and about how politicians should be funded, because at the moment, parties have to rely on private donations effectively in order to survive, because we don't really have a taxpayer-funded model in this country. So that's the first one. And obviously the second one, which has sort of become allied into this, is the issue of gifts. And whether that might constitute improper influence, about whether the Prime Minister in particular is taking too many freebies, and what that might say about the direction of the government and its sort of compass and all the rest of it. I think there are 2 distinct issues. I don't have a problem with people taking donations if they are declared in the proper way. £300,000 over 2 decades obviously sounds like a lot of money, but in the broad context, it's not such a great deal of money when you look at the number of people that the money's been given to and the length of time over which that money has been given. And obviously, you know, we saw there were plenty of donations given to people like Boris Johnson in the last government. The problem there being they weren't properly declared, or they were loans, and there was sort of murkiness in that. This one, so long as they're properly declared, I don't see a problem with it. But I do think that Labour needs to be a lot more wary of the optics of it, so to speak, about how it looks the public, and that they're sort of getting freebies, clothes, etc., while other people are struggling.
I think you're right to differentiate between the two, between political donations for political activities and these sort of freebies that have been highlighted in the press. I think it just gets to people, doesn't it, to see the Prime Minister of this country accepting donations for, you know, Taylor Swift tickets, for the football because he can't go into the stands, for spectacles, for a personal shopper for his wife. I do think the nicknames Sir Keir Scrounger or Free Gear Keir, they're going to stick, aren't they, Jonathan? They're going to stick. It's the
first time I've heard those, Emily. I don't think they will stick particularly. Look, we'll be talking about many more things in the next 5 years, as you know very well.
He's got his hand out, Jonathan. He's got his hand out.
He's sorry, what?
He's got his hand out.
Right. Look, I think that the issue of getting concert tickets and stuff, that is okay to an extent. I think that, you know, you're the Prime Minister will be seen at big events, and, you know, it's complete. I think it's normal for senior politicians to accept hospitality, provided there's no conflict of interest. I think there's a difficulty in football when the Prime Minister is talking about setting up a new football regulator and that kind of thing. And that might take you into difficult grounds. And I think that there is also an argument, which Starmer raised himself, about the difficulty of being in the stands when you're the Prime Minister. And, you know, if Arsenal is laying on a box for him at no cost to taxpayer, I don't see that there's a big problem with that.
I don't know, because you've got a football regulator potentially going through Parliament, right?
That's the thing. There is a potential issue with that, but I don't think it's so terrible. And I think there's another point, Emily, which is that in a way, these people can't win, because if you go out wearing clothes that don't sort of, pass, sort of cut the mustard, if you like, people on this channel will complain about the Prime Minister looking scruffy and his wife not being well dressed and
I
bring
don't
the
know.
country
You
into
can get a
disrepute.
lovely outfit for not thousands of
But
pounds,
I think
hundreds
that,
of pounds.
when you're the Prime Minister, or the spouse of the Prime Minister, I do think that there is an extra pressure to represent the country informally or formally.
I think you're doing what Baroness Harman has told Keir Starmer not to do, which is to try and justify these gifts.
She
came out and tried to justify these gifts.
I'm suggesting that there might be limited circumstances where it's okay to, for example, I think a lot of designers have offered Victoria Starmer complimentary dresses. I think she turned them down. I think it would be completely fine to accept those, particularly if they're showcasing British style and so on. And you are representing the country in that capacity.
Jonathan, it's a bit weird though, isn't it? I mean, we've spoken about this before, but the personal shopper for his wife, again, the nickname Lady Victoria Sponger comes to mind as well, Jonathan Liss. I mean, it might sound harsh, but it's true, is it not, Jonathan?
Emily, you know what people would say. You know what people would say if she was photographed by a hostile newspaper.
Oh, come on, they're millionaires. They're millionaires, Jonathan.
No,
they're not on the bread line.
It's obviously there is. I think there's a balance. There's no absolute yes or no to this. I think on the one hand, they are rich enough to be buying their own clothes. Absolutely. On the other hand, they are in a new role now. They are absolutely front-facing. Victoria Starmer is not a publicity seeker, but she is the wife of the Prime Minister, and she knows that she'll be photographed out and about. And so there is nothing wrong with getting help. Or getting some free designs from people who obviously they want to showcase their designs and sort of British talent.
It does disproportionately seem to be coming from this one man, doesn't it, though?
I mean, look, if you look at the previous Prime Ministers, obviously,
the trip to Manhattan for Angela Rayner,
That's again, I think it's completely fine. If you are, a political donor and you have a relationship with a senior member of the cabinet or shadow cabinet, and you have a property somewhere, you say, take this property, declare it in the normal way. People have been doing that for a very long time. Boris Johnson had all of his holidays paid for, and my goodness, he could afford to go on his own.
I think she underplayed, though, the value of that particular gift. 5 nights, was it, in a luxury apartment overlooking Manhattan? A little more than £1,200, I think, Jonathan. But there you go. Jonathan Liss, thank you very much indeed. Political commentator, good to speak to you.